West Point Military Academy, Honduras, a hydroelectric dam project, the murder of environmental activists. What do all these things have in common with each other? That's what my video is going to be talking about Roberto David Castillo, a Honduran military officer who was trained at West Point Military Academy in the United States and graduated in 2004, and later became the president of an energy company in Honduras called DESA in 2009, and his involvement in the murders of environmental activists in order to try to illegally build a hydroelectric dam project in his country. Let's dive into the background of Roberto David Castillo. Roberto Castillo was born in San Pedro Sula, Honduras. However, his date of birth is unknown. I was not able to find any of that information online. And Castillo went to the West Point Military Academy in the United States from 2000 to 2004. West Point, as many know, is a distinguished military academy in the United States in New York and is one of the oldest military academies in the United States. So Roberto Castillo graduated from West Point in 2004. While he was there, he studied electrical and computer engineering. He excelled in his classes and he made a lot of friends, including with American cadets while at West Point. After graduating from West Point, Roberto Castillo became a second lieutenant in the Honduran Army and served in military intelligence. And after his career in the military, he ended up creating an energy company in 2009. He and some other friends of his founded the energy company known as DESA in 2009. The year 2009 was the year that a coup happened in Honduras, as I have mentioned in many past videos, where President Manuel Zelaya was overthrown from power by the military in a coup, and a right-wing government took its place. The right-wing National Party of Honduras has ruled the country since the coup in 2009, and the Conservative National Party of Honduras is the party of the rich business elites and oligarchs of the country. And the coup benefited right-wing oligarchs and companies such as DESA and Roberto Castillo. Roberto Castillo and his energy company DESA decided to embark on a hydroelectric dam project in 2010 to build the Agua Zarca hydroelectric dam in the Gualcarque River area in 2010. And this hydroelectric dam project was receiving funding from the Central American Bank, as well as banks in Europe, such as a Dutch bank named FMO in Holland, and also a finance company from Finland named FinFund. So Castillo was able to secure international loans to build this hydroelectric dam project. But it ended up also causing a source of tension. The indigenous Lenca people of Honduras lived on this land near this river, and they did not get any consent from Castillo and his company to come onto their land and just start doing construction. The Lenca people were facing being displaced and evicted from their land, and they would lose access to the river for it to be privatized by DESA. And this caused a lot of tension and friction between the Lenca community and Castillo's company, which ended up culminating in assassinations and intimidation. The government of Honduras, under the conservative National Party, which has ruled since 2010, has been blatantly in favor of the big companies of Honduras and helping people like Dessa and Roberto Castillo in their hydroelectric dam projects and other construction programs. And the government of Honduras has given no help or assistance to environmental activists and groups like the Lenca. When the Lenca people and their leadership have tried appealing for legal help, the government of Honduras has done nothing to help them, but rather has helped in repressing activists and helping people like Roberto Castillo in their repression, which only made this conflict worse. The Honduras government gave big companies free rein to privatize any land they wanted and not have to go through any business regulations to do it. Big companies under the National Party government can just go ahead and claim any land they want, privatize it, and everyone who is already on that land has to leave. And the government of Honduras gives its blessing for this. The biggest form of opposition to the construction of the dam is an organization known as COPIN, which is an indigenous rights group in Honduras. And their longtime leader and founder was a Lenca leader named Berta Caceres, who's also an environmental activist. And because Berta Caceres was an effective organizer in organizing protests and trying to engage in a legal battle against Roberto Castillo and his company, Dessa, she faced a lot of harassment and death threats. Roberto Castillo and his energy company, Dessa, employees were trying to intimidate Berta Caceres for years from 2010 to 2016 to get her to back down. They sent her death threats, and they harassed her, and they harassed her organization. And Roberto Castillo, since he had been a lieutenant in the Honduran military, had a lot of military contacts, and he used some friends of his in the Honduran military to do surveillance on Berta Caceres and her organization as well. Berta Caceres became internationally recognized for her environmental work she was doing, and in 2015 she ended up winning a Goldman Environmental Prize in the United States in 2015 and even got to do a speech. And for this reason, and because she wouldn't back down, Roberto Castillo and his company Dessa realized that she had to go, and they decided to kill her. So in March 2016, Berta Caceres was shot and killed in her own home. There was a lot of international outrage over her murder, and there was a lot of international pressure on the Honduran government to actually investigate her murder. And 7 men were arrested in her murder, which included men with military backgrounds. And Roberto Castillo himself was arrested. 2 of the men arrested in the murder of Berta Caceres included a man named Douglas Giovanni Bustillo, who is the security chief of the energy company Dessa, and had been a member of the Honduran military from 1997 to 2008, and was once trained at Fort Benning, Georgia, in the United States by the U.S. military. And another man arrested in the murder of Berta Caceres was Major Mariano Diaz Chavez, who was a active Honduran Army major and head of Army intelligence, and also was once trained in 1997 in the United States at Fort Benning, Georgia. This killing of Berta Caceres included a lot of military men who had been at one point trained in the United States. That really looks really bad for America. I read further on this subject on an article in The Guardian about this case of Roberto Castillo, and I learned that he had some American friends at West Point he made that wanted to come to his defense after he was arrested in the murder of Berta Caceres. One person that was named in the article was a man named Travis Dent, who attended West Point with Castillo from 2000 to 2004. And Travis Dent, upon learning of the arrest of Castillo, wanted to come to his aid and organize some other people from the class at West Point, and they contacted the U.S. ambassador to Honduras, and they wanted to try to help him with his legal battle trouble, even though they knew what he had done, and they still wanted to help him. That's really disgusting to learn. What's even more disgusting is West Point has produced other horrible foreign graduates. One of them was the infamous Nicaraguan dictator Anastasio Somoza Debayle. Anastasio Somoza Debayle was the dictator of Nicaragua from 1967 to 1979 and was part of the Somoza family dictatorship, who ruled Nicaragua since the 1930s. Anastasio Somoza Debayle attended West Point and graduated from the academy in 1946, and West Point Academy still lists him in their graduates database as the Nicaraguan president. And Anastasio Somoza, while he was dictator of Nicaragua, was brutal and ruthless, and even had political enemies and dissidents thrown into volcanoes by helicopter. What kind of West Point values were really practiced at all in his rule? So what is the conclusion and aftermath of all these things? After the arrest of Roberto Castillo for the murder of Berta Caceres, all international investors pulled their funding for the Agua Zarca construction project. FinFund and the Dutch bank FMO and the Central American Bank were disgusted by the murder of Berta Caceres and no longer wanted to be associated with the project. So after they pulled all their funding, the Agua Zarca hydroelectric dam project was totally canceled. DESA abandoned the project without any funding. Roberto Castillo was recently sentenced in jail in 2021, found guilty, and will be serving at least 20 years or more in prison for his role in the murder of Berta Caceres, and the other 7 men who participated in her murder have also been sentenced to jail. And as for West Point, the newspaper The Guardian, who covered this story, tried contacting West Point for an interview about Roberto Castillo, and West Point declined to give an interview to The Guardian and told their reporter to go talk to the U.S. State Department. And the U.S. State Department is supposed to be involved in choosing which countries can send cadets to West Point. The State Department refused to give an interview to The Guardian and told them to talk to the Department of Defense, and the Department of Defense refused to give an interview and told the reporters in The Guardian to go back and talk to the State Department. And that's really ridiculous. And it just shows the U.S. government as a whole really doesn't want to take much responsibility for its role in these horrible things that happen.